Good evening. I'd like to call the August 23rd meeting of the Mount Vernon Board of Education to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee McDowell, Trustee McOwen, Trustee Miller, Trustee White,
Present.
Trustee Farron,
Present.
Trustee Jaros, Trustee Saunders,
Here.
Trustee Zamora.
Present.
Is present. We need a motion to enter into executive session this evening with the discussion of collective bargaining negotiations between the district and the Mount Vernon and the Civil Service Employees Association, the school monitors, as well as the employment history of a particular person or persons, and a special education member.
Motion.
Trustee McDowell.
Second.
Trustee White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The board stands adjourned to executive session.
30 minutes, we'll be back at 7 o'clock.
Can we into public session, please?
Motion.
Trustee Saunders, second.
Second.
Trustee White, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Motion carries. We're back into public session. First order of business is communications from the public. Good evening, everybody. There is no legal requirement to recognize public comment at meetings of the Board of Education. However, the board recognizes the critical importance of community discourse and involvement in the education of Mount Vernon's children, and accordingly, members of the public are invited to speak at each regularly scheduled board meeting, subject to the terms of board policy. Speakers must register in advance no later than 4 p.m. the day of the meeting by contacting the district clerk in person at 165 North Columbus Avenue, by phone at 914-665-5235, or via email at rmccormick@mtvernoncsd.org. The board welcomes all respectful comment, whether praise or criticism. However, identifying and criticizing a specific student, parent, teacher, administrator, or other Mount Vernon education official or employee is strictly prohibited. Any such complaint must be presented and addressed to the proper administrative channels. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak, with up to an additional 1 minute for the speaker to summarize and conclude their remarks. If appropriate, board trustees and/or the superintendent of schools or other staff members at his discretion may immediately respond to speakers' remarks. This evening, our first speaker is Dolores Smith.
Dr. Sawyer, trustees, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Sawyer, trustees,
Ms.
administrators.
Mack, Ms. Mack,
Yes.
Ms. Mack,
Right here.
Ms. Mack, over here.
Over here.
Look over here.
Yes.
Dr. Sawyer doesn't work here anymore.
You have that
Hamilton, I'm sorry. And community, my name is Dolores Mack. Do I have to give an address? I've been here such a long time, okay. In a couple of short weeks, school's gonna be open, and I'm hoping that, all the success for the school year. I'm here as a concerned community activist of over 40 years, born and raised in this district, worked in this district and retired last year after 28 years of service. I'm just concerned, I had a copy of a CSEA contract, and I'm here not speaking on the behalf of CSEA as a concerned citizen, and like I said, as a former employee of the district. I read it and had a headache. I know you're bargaining with 3 unions. I know it's not easy, things have changed, which they have changed a lot in this district. Some for the good and some for the bad. The civil service employees are the bulk in this district. With your renovation in these 16 buildings, is going to be the CSE workers to keep the buildings running. I think you'll need to revisit the contract because, I read it about 3 times and it wasn't good. I mean, we got to realize too, in this day and age, bill collectors come and, salaries doesn't change. We can't treat certain unions with top priority and then the rest, sort of ignore. You need to please revisit because it's not fair, that contract. You know, I mean, you know, 4 pieces of paper stapled together, that's how I got it. And I read it and I was like, oh, wow. And what happened to open communications? I mean, as a 28-year employee of the district, and plus, been coming to school board meetings, I haven't been coming the last year, so I think my first school board meeting was 1977, and active in a lot of, you know, board, community things. Just revisit, because we, you know, you have really sort of skinned CSE workers. I started out when I was a cook at Mount Vernon High School. We started out with 30 civil service girls. I don't think you have 10. I was replaced by a non-union worker who didn't hardly speak English and who didn't live in the city. And, you know, that's reality, but you need to revisit in an open communication. I mean, I sat on 2 negotiation teams during my tenure, you know, working here, and it was open communication dialogue from the trustees, from the lawyers, from the civil service workers, where you had several meetings, but they give 4 sheets of paper stapled together and said, come and vote. I know it was voted down. You know, come on, let's be fair, because I know you don't treat your teachers union like that, and you don't treat your administrators union like that. And then you're gonna take on a 4th one. I'm hearing that lunchroom monitors want to be union. I feel sorry for them, you know, but you need to treat everybody accordingly, because like I said, that it's hard. Most of the people who civil service live in this district, vote for your budget, vote for your trustees too. So please, I ask again, you know, good faith, y'all sit in open communications with the civil service workers, because we're family, we work together. Because like I said, I enjoyed sitting twice on negotiations and dialogue with the school board trustees and bringing back information. You know, it was an open communication. And this time, I know y'all have a lot on your shoulders with, you know, getting this buildings together. I see all the construction that's going on, and you know, the buildings and stuff. And I live across the street from Traphagen, and I see, you know, the beautiful work that's being done. But you know, civil service, those civil service people are going to keep those buildings running and keep the grounds and stuff and cooking for the kids and everything else. So please, I ask to revisit and have open communication. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jack Cappy.
Good evening. My name is Jack Caffey. I'm the Executive Vice President for Local 338, and I swear I did not ask her to come here.
No, I don't even know.
I'm actually, it's actually a good segue into what I have to say. I'm not here to fight, argue, or yell. I actually want to put a face to an issue. I represent the school monitors, and I know you just said that, you know, all the different unions here, we feel slighted as well. And it's not that we're asking for things of grandeur. We understand that certain issues are budgetary, they're economic issues. But the issue that we're talking about now in the negotiations is more of a health, safety, and a moral issue. We're not asking for $10 an hour raises. We're asking for sick days, where our people don't have to figure out whether they want to put food on their table for their kids or have to come to work sick. It's more of a dignity and respect. We understand there's economics to it, but these are people, they're your employees, and more importantly, it's a health and safety issue, not only for our people, for the monitors, but for the kids. Because when they're forced to come to work because they're sick, they're now putting the kids in jeopardy of getting sick, whether they come to work with the flu, whether they come to work with any other thing that they have, a cough, strep throat, whatever it is. It's not fair. Again, we're not asking things, you know, of grandeur. But I think that the board should really take a look at this and look at the faces of the people that are having these particular issues and consider getting something done here. And I strongly suggest that we can come to some sort of compromise with this, because again, I don't think that you cut corners with your education, with the safety of your children, but I think that this may be cutting a corner that you weren't even aware of. because it's definitely putting the children in a bad situation as well. The other situation is that when they are out, if they happen to call out, we don't want to put the monitors in situations where they're watching 2 and 3 classes, 4 classes at a time because they weren't replaced. They can say they're replacing them, they can say that there are people there, but it's not only putting, again, the kids' safety in jeopardy, but it's also putting the monitor's safety in jeopardy. So I'm hoping that we can come to some sort of conclusion with this, and I'm hoping that you can take a look and put a face to the issue and not just look at it as a budgetary issue. Thank you.
Our last speaker of the evening is Dr. Chestnut.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Hamilton.
Good evening.
President Zamore, Ms. Saunders, members and trustees of the Mount Vernon Board of Education. My name is Dr. Charles Chesnavage, and I'm the president of the Westchester Coalition Against Islamophobia. I'm also a Yonkers resident living in Runyon Heights and a high school religious educator for the last 22 years at Cardinal Hayes in the South Bronx. The Westchester Coalition Against Islamophobia is a grassroots coalition of citizens who, through education and community engagement like tonight, oppose bigotry and discrimination against the Muslim community and defend the civil rights of all. Our coalition is planning a presentation on the bullying policy of the schools in Westchester County in order to inform parents of Muslim children of the policies and procedures should their children experience any kind of bullying in the school due to their religious identity and beliefs. We bring these concerns for Muslim children to the Mount Vernon Board of Education in light of the upcoming 15th anniversary of 9/11, which will be occurring on the Muslim holiday of Eid this year. Given the increase in negative comments and fear-mongering towards Muslims that has been part of our presidential campaigns, the unpredictability of terrorist attacks in our world by extremists, and also the anticipated arrival of approximately 50 Syrian refugees to Westchester County, approximately 10 families, through various refugee placement organizations. We invite representatives from the Mount Vernon Board of Ed and those familiar with the bullying policy to join us on September 18th at the Ethical Culture Society in White Plains, New York. Any information to educate the Muslim families and assure them of the safety and well-being of their children would be appreciated. We encourage the Mount Vernon Board of Ed to consider putting up these posters in the school and to educate students and faculty about what the posters mean. The first one says to simply stop profiling Muslims. And the second, referring to the refugees that are scheduled to arrive, simply says, refugees are welcome here. We believe it is important if the teachers and the administrators could actually explain why these posters would be getting put up. As a high school teacher, I've heard students call other students of a Muslim background Osama bin Laden. Other children are called terrorists. And oftentimes these comments are made as a joke. But usually the only one who laughs are the ones making the comments. And when that student goes everywhere in the school, and the same thing is said in classroom, cafeteria, Osama bin Laden, terrorist, usually he's not the one laughing, and that's when it starts getting serious with harassment and bullying. When I drive to work, I sometimes pass a young girl going to school with a hijab. And I wonder what her day will be like. And some days I'll drive by and she's wearing a baseball cap. And some people might say, that's cool, look, she's wearing a baseball hat, but it's not cool. Because she's covering up her hijab. She's covering up her Muslim identity for fear of comments that may take place as she walks to school. Students also have a very difficult time addressing bullying because of fear of backlash and if in fact there are any language issues.
Can you just tell me that?
Yes, thank you. The Westchester Coalition Against Islamophobia would like to be a resource to the Mount Vernon Board of Ed, to parents, to teachers, to the administrators. And I thank you for the time this evening, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with the Mount Vernon Board of Ed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're gonna have a presentation?
Special presentation, and then we have a presentation.
Yes, not yet, Ms. Dr. Walton. Let's do our, recognize our,
We have a presentation this evening of thanks from Ms. Sherry Ward, our Director of the Career, Standards Administrator for the Career and Technical Education.
Good evening. Good evening, honorable trustees, superintendent, district leadership, and community members. My name is Sherry Ward, and I am the Standards Administrator for Career and Technical Education. Please excuse my back for just a moment, but I'd like to make a presentation. Hi, Dr. Feinberg. Would you please stand here? It is with great pleasure that I am presenting a plaque in recognition for a substantial donation provided by Dr. Edward Feinberg. I have to say that meeting Dr. Feinberg was a perfect storm, which rarely happens. We were looking for dental program resources, and he was moving his office to a new location. He heard about us through colleagues at the Westchester Dental Association. Okay. And after meeting with him and hearing about our vision, thank you, for rebuilding career and technical education, he generously decided to give all of his fundamental equipment from his Scarsdale office. This entails 4 dental chairs with lighting, 4 mobile cuspidors, some tools, reception desk, and a litany of dental lab equipment. Okay. This equipment will allow us to begin rebuilding the dental program, where students can work towards becoming certified dental assistants and learning dental technology. Excuse me. Dr. Feinberg also kindly offered to donate some of his time to assist in developing the dentist program at Mount Vernon High School. So, on behalf of the Mount Vernon City School District, and the Career and Technical Education Department, we would like to present you with a plaque that reads, Dr. Edward Feinberg, DDS, for his generous donation of dental lab equipment and tools that made possible the reestablishment of a vocational dental program for students in the Mount Vernon City School District, August 23rd, 2016. Now, I'm gonna let you just touch this, but you're not gonna be able to keep it.
Okay.
Because this is going to go on the wall of the new dental lab that we're going to establish. Now, Dr. Hamilton has another plaque that he's gonna let you keep.
Before I present this, I just want to say a few words on behalf of the district and the students within our boundaries. I was blessed to meet some very extraordinary people when I came to Mount Vernon, staff members, community members, and it's not short on people who are eager to assist and help us improve our schools. But since my arrival, we recognize some of these individuals here at our board meetings, and even though we acknowledge them with a letter of gratitude or some other kind of acknowledgement, it just never seemed like it was enough. So we've been thinking, like, what can we really do to acknowledge people who do some extraordinary things on behalf of our children? So as Knights, we decided that we would establish this Night Light Award, and you are our inaugural recipient of this award. So tonight, we want to recognize those characteristics that we believe are symbolic of what a knight is, those characteristics of chivalry and virtues of knights like knowledge and strength and mercy and generosity. So tonight, it is my honor to present this plaque to you, which Mrs. Ward will read on behalf of the district, and I extend my heartfelt thanks to you for your generous donation that will have an impact that you probably can't even begin to imagine. So I thank you on behalf of all those children.
Okay, the Nightlight says, the Mount Vernon City School District presents the Nightlight Award to Dr. Edward Feinberg, DDS, for his outstanding contribution to the Mount Vernon City School District Career and Technical Education Program, August 23rd, 2016.
Wow, I'm really overwhelmed by this. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that I could help. I really applaud what you're doing here and how you're really helping young people to get started, especially in a really tough times like these. It's really, I think, a very noble and wonderful thing, and I'm really excited that I can help. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
You did take a picture.
And at this time, we are proud to present our student achievement data presentation for this evening. Welcome for her debut presentation, Dr. Walden, our Associate Superintendent for CNI, and we are delighted with the data that we are presenting to you this evening. There are packets in front of you that will highlight the information that Dr. Walden will be presenting. Once we present this information to you, this presentation will be put on our website so that the public can review these results as well. Dr. Walden?
Good evening and thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton, Board President Zamore, and board trustees. Good evening. I stand before you quite excited and humbled as Associate Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction. And I'm most excited because I truly believe we're in the right place at the right time. And the data actually shows that. So part of my role is to really ensure the curriculum alignment as well as instructional practices are in place throughout the district, in every school, in every classroom. So this evening I will share with you some wonderful trends. And all of you received a packet to follow along. With regard to the data trends, looking at grades 3 through 8, there has been some wonderful progress. There has been an increase of students meeting and exceeding New York State standards in English language arts and mathematics. And that's district-wide grades 3 through 8. So meeting and exceeding standards is levels 3 and 4 in terms of New York State reporting. There's also been an increase in student performance index in both English language arts, ELA, and mathematics. And all of our elementary and middle schools have increased in their ELA proficiency grades. And there has also been an increase in our rates of our subgroups, in particular students with disabilities. So as we're looking at the comparison of English and math, we see that we are truly on an upward trend, increasing from 14% to 23% in English, and mathematics from 13 to 16%. So we are truly on an upward trend district-wide, grades 3 through 8. When we look at our subgroups, our English language learners, and we're looking at them over time, we see that there is a performance gap. So part of our role is to really dig deep around curriculum and instruction for our subgroups. So as we are trending upward, we still are working diligently in addressing those gaps. And that is also true of students with disabilities or special education students. When we look at general education of students and students with disabilities or special education students, we see that we are making progress, although we're working diligently with specific programs in place and specialists to support their ongoing development. So let's dig deeper. As we look at English language arts, and when I say English language arts, I'm going to discuss a bit of our trends more specifically. So our educational program over time, during the time of Dr. Hamilton's administration, we see is on an upward trend. And that's moving students truly in the right direction. As we're looking at the performance index is a value between 0 and 200, and that speaks to how a group performs. So we went from student performance rate 2014-15 about 69% to about 89% from last year. So that is significant. So what does this mean? In terms of curriculum and instruction, looking at the data, the types of questions where students answer, we see that there are standard strengths. So, determining main idea, interpreting charts and diagrams, understanding the elements of poems, of the structures of stories. By and large, when we look at trends, students were able to grasp those standards. As we drill down and we're looking to see where we need to focus, it is really the referring of detail and providing examples, so digging deep so we can draw inferences from text or passages or where we are. So last year there was a great deal of work around vocabulary. So vocabulary in context, reading a passage and inferring and picking out the vocabulary that speaks to looking at comparisons. So those are some areas globally we can look at. Now, as we look at how students are progressing by grade, Our grade 3 students went up from 17 to 31%. And that's significant in terms of their growth. So their strengths, as I mentioned before, are the basics around reading comprehension. As we dig deeper, explaining how an author uses reasons and evidence are some of the points where they struggle. Explaining and understanding the meaning of similes and metaphors. For example, pretty as a picture. Those are some of the areas of growth. As we move on to grade 4, we also have seen an increase, significant increase. So as we go from 3 to 4, those skills are repeated and they're deepened. Grade 5, however, we see that globally, our students were able to understand main idea, but they have to determine really and explain and support it with details. So some growths are, what about the relationship of the various characters in that text? Looking at context. And globally, when we looked at the trend, writing was an area where students really needed extra support. So writing informative texts or essays to convey information. As we're going on to our middle school grades, we see that we actually have to look at citing textual evidence. I do want to point out, although our data as we look at grade 8 are trending upwards, we still have, and we have a way to go. We're on the right journey, but we have to really work very strong in looking at instructional practices because we are below the New York State average. And we know that grade 8 is moving our students to their high school career and on to college and career readiness. As we look at mathematics, our mathematics performance, we're also trending and making increases over time. Not as sharp as English language arts, however. But as we look at the performance, some of the strengths really speak to some basic number sense. So measurement, telling of time in our lower grades. Students are able to grasp using multiplication and division. But some growth areas have to do with deepening the work around solving two-step word problems, for instance. So we are actually trending in the right direction. Now, as we deepen our work, as we go into middle school and high school, we're seeing that we really have to really increase our level of rigor. So we see our mathematics scores, grade-wise, are trending in the right direction. As we go into Regents exams, and we look at, say, math, for instance, we see with the introduction of the Common Core that there are specific areas that we really need to know. For example, our Common Core and our Algebra Regents have made tremendous gains. So, as we look at our graduation rates, this is quite exciting because there has been a great deal of work around graduation dates and looking at data and moving our cohorts. For instance, and I'm very excited about that, our graduation rate had a tremendous growth over time. Dr. Hamilton, his administrative team, our Board of Education, our interventions, our teachers, our administrators, worked in concert, and we see our district-wide data a sharp increase from 58% to 64% in a short period of time. So we still have a ways to go in terms of our 80% is our New York State standard performance. But I'm really very proud to show you over time how our individual high schools are doing. For instance, when we look at Thornton High School and looking at our cohort data over 4 years, there has been a great deal of work around data cleansing from 68% to 77 to just about 84%. That means we exceeded New York State performance target. In Mount Vernon High School, we see that there has also been an increase as well. About 72% were looking for our estimation of an increase in graduation rate. And Mandela High School, our alternative program, has nearly more than actually doubled in moving those cohorts of children. So really the message is around what do we do? So I'm inviting all to the curriculum night that we are having at the end of September so that we can really look at those particular standards and how the curriculum is being adjusted to really address our ongoing school improvement and our data. So we're well on our way, and I'm most excited about continual growth. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Dr. Walker. So just to just kind of piggyback with Dr. Walton's presentation, at our convocation on September 1st, I'll be using this data as part of my presentation and applauding our staff. You know, I've been conflicted between how do we celebrate when there is such a long way to go. So our theme for convocation this year is Journey to Excellence, and this is a part of the journey, identifying our growth, celebrating our small wins, and acknowledging the efforts and those who have embraced the vision of the district and embraced the instructional philosophies that we put in place, and this is evidence that we are indeed on the right track. So I hope you will join me on September 1st in applauding our staff for their hard efforts. And that is actually going to conclude the superintendent's report.
Well, I'm extremely excited. I know we're moving on. I'm extremely excited about the information that you presented tonight. Understanding that while we have such a long way to go, I think it's very important that we do take the opportunity to celebrate these small growths, because for so long we've been stagnant.
Right.
You know, we've been looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, and while we haven't reached it, I think we can begin to see it more and more. So I want to celebrate you and your staff who've been putting in this hard work. We've been making so many changes, and I know change is not always easy, but in order to get where we have to go, change is what's going to be necessary. And to see where we've gotten compared to where we've come from, I think it's worthy to be celebrated. So I say thank you for what you've done, and I look forward to where we're going to go in the coming years.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to make a comment on page 14 about the math proficiency. You could see the drop from grade 6 to grade 7 and 8. You know, this is one of the reasons why we moved to the K through 8. So hopefully we'll start seeing those changes with the continuation in the curriculum and the teaching of mathematics, you know, by certified math teachers. You know, as we move, again, Dr. Hamilton pointed that we had almost a similar drop from grade 4 to grade 5. And again, those are transition grades, you know, in the teaching of mathematics from arithmetic to algebra or pre-algebra concepts. You know, it gets harder, and there is something there also about the children as they grow, something about maybe teachers who maybe lack of understanding perhaps of how to deal, you know, with a student growth. You know, too many factors come to play. So we hope that with the K through 8, you know, coming, you know, these drops will be less and less, and we will move toward, you know, higher achievement by our students.
Thank you.
Just one other quick question. Just as you noted that as you were desegregating the information, and you noted to some of the areas that needed continuous work in your curriculum meeting here, will you be discussing how you're going to address those areas, what particular programs you're going to be using, and if so, give us a little tidbit just in case we want to make the meeting.
Yes, Trustee McDowell, and thank you very much. So as we are reviewing the data, the state provides us with the level of every student reaching proficiency. but we're able to actually disaggregate and drill down to specific standards. And given that, there were curriculum maps and guides adjusted to address rigor, to address sensitivity, as well as the types of skills that we need to introduce early on. So during curriculum night, the vision is very much opening the doors that we held at Mount Vernon High School, opening up the doors to parents and the community so that we can discuss how and what children are being taught and how we're addressing our data in particular, and there will be breakout sessions. So if a parent has a parent of a particular subgroup, an English language learner, or supports around students with disabilities, or interests around mathematics, when a parent sees that my youngster's really having some struggles, we'll have someone in place, whether it's a standards administrator or an instructor, that will be able to speak to those areas to address it and provide tips for parents that they can do at home as well.
Have we considered sharing that disaggregated information with the individual families? I'm sorry, can't hear me?
No, I don't think you would.
Hello? Test. I believe that's got a little closer. Have we considered, Dr. Henry, sharing that disaggregated information with the individual students' families so that way they may be able to address some of those issues?
Yes, and parents will actually get a student report which identifies with how their individual children perform.
Yeah, I know how they perform. I know we send that out. But we're talking about the disaggregated information, how you guys dig deeper and see what those specific content areas where they're falling short at as an individual.
Well, this presentation is going to be loaded on our website, and it'll also be a part of our newsletter when it goes out as well.
No, I'm not.
I guess I'm not understanding your question.
What I'm asking as an individual, let's just take my child. You looked at my child, scores, you did the disaggregate, you started digging deep, you see exactly, okay, let me see exactly where this particular child missed it,
yes,
right? Or they fell short. Have we considered sharing that information, that disaggregated information, where you dug deeper, vice versa, just we send a notice home, your child was a level 3, et cetera, or level 2, or whatever level they were particularly on. But to try to help the child further, have we considered sharing that deeper information about that individual child that you guys have garnered to say this is where your particular student can really develop better?
It sounds like what you're describing is an individualized plan for each student.
No, not an IEP.
So to disaggregate,
yes, she
to
disaggregated
provide
information.
an individual report for, so say 8,000 of our students, to provide an individual report that's disaggregated and compares an individual youngster to, if I'm a gen ed student, how I compare to my gen ed counterparts, for example. If I'm a free or reduced student, how I compare to an economically disadvantaged. Am I understanding that?
In her report here, she talked about what some of the shortfalls were. So in her report here, they did some disaggregation. They realized that some of the growth areas were referred to details as examples within the text. When explaining
I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
So they dug deep and they realized that this is what some of the growth areas were.
Right,
So
I got you. So a parent will know what specific areas a youngster missed individually, as an individual. Got you. Dr. Wallman.
Yes, sir. That's a brilliant question. In fact, we have that available. So, of course, in public forum, I couldn't get to those specifics, but teachers actually have access to that data, and they're able to share for their particular child. So it actually shares and drills down those particular standards and where children need the support. And we have some wonderful programs in district already, such as iReady, that can really help to drill that down. But we can show and share the New York State and how students perform in particular standards, as well as at-home program that is really specific and geared to individual children.
And the only reason why I mentioned that, Dr. Hamilton, is as everyone knows that I'm a parent and student in this district, and to hear that information is powerful. To be able to really dig deep and really see where your individual child is can really help this district move forward to where we want to get by sharing that type of information. Now, while I understand how detailed that can be, doing that for 8,000 students, what I would like to see is somehow the teachers being able to share that. As a parent of this district, that type of information, that thing is not shared. So what I would like to see is that some type, whether it be training, whether it be some type of retraining of ensuring that teachers understand how powerful that information is and the need to share that information at the proper place and at the proper time, whether it's open school night, whether it's through letters, because I understand on the masses it couldn't be done from the district because that is extremely lot of work. But on an individual basis, if you're saying the teacher has access to that automatically and is able to just right-click on the student's name and be able to share that with a particular parent, I think that should be a priority, which will help this district meet its particular needs as it relates to ELA or mathematics scores.
Gotcha. Doable.
Mr. Moore, do you have a report for the audience? Leslie?
Report, yes, report for what?
President's report.
Oh, the president's report. No, I do not. No president report at this time. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Is there no school readiness report ready for tonight?
No, there isn't. That'll be provided in the confidential this week.
Any reason why
I can't hear you.
tonight?
It's not ready tonight because our senior architect is not available tonight. He's providing that report.
So Mr. Felicio can provide a readiness report tonight?
No, he can't.
I'm pretty sure he's probably not ready, but I know last week I specifically asked him, and the board was wanting to know as well. I'm sorry, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm sorry.
I can't hear you. Use the other mic?
You want to wing it? I don't like to put folks on the spot like that. I don't know how prepared Mr.
I
Paluccio
want you
is.
to wing it because I really want an accurate report. And while confidential is great, I think it's something also that the community would have wanted to hear as they're ready and looking to see, because there's concerns in the community of driving around the district, people who are in summer school, people who have been in the buildings taking regents, and they are concerned, and quite frankly, I'm concerned as to where we are and where we're going to be for the readiness of this. For school, start the school year.
I think that's a very valid point, and I think it's also important, and I tried to brace people for this in the beginning when we started talking about this process. This is going to happen every year. There's going to be some angst and some anxiety associated with school readiness each year as we implement this 2020 vision. But we've been having conversations about school readiness and visiting buildings to make sure that we're on target. Mr. Felicio, if you can start making your way up and you can address the manpower that we put into this. But I do think as you hear, as board members get those concerns, that you couple your responses with assurance that this level of what appears to be upheaval is part of growing pains associated with kind of renovations that are going on in our district. And it is something that we're going to have to adjust to for the next several years in order for us to fully implement the kinds of renovations that are underway in our district. And I'm uncomfortable too, quite frankly. In fact, I was asked to stop coming around for a while. This is part of what we are going to endure, and we just have to kind of ride this out until we get to the point where these projects are coming to completion and fruition and the vision is fully implemented. But this is kind of the state of Mount Vernon for the time being.
And I'm in complete agreement with you, Dr. Hamilton. My only stance is that we continue to be transparent and be able to share with the community and with the board, as you have already up to this point. There's some things I know you sent us in confidential that I will not discuss here, as you've been keeping us surprised onto what's going on. But I think from a community and transparency perspective, I think it's important that we share that. If this is where we are, this is where we are, and this is where we're going to end up at such and such a date, such and such a time. These are some of the plans that we made in order to minimize the impact on learning or impact on the schools. So I'm not saying that there aren't going to be situations that we're just going to face during this whole transformation process, but just being able to speak to what the plan is, what maybe some of the issues are, so that the community is informed, and that way we do minimize some of the anxieties that the community have, because they have the anxieties because they have no clue. But if we give them the information that they need, we will settle some of that dust, and I think that will help solve some of the issues.
Well, Ms. Colicchio, to the extent that you can, and again, I apologize for putting you on the spot like that.
No problem. Good evening, everybody. Trustees, so every week during the confidential, I report to both the superintendent and Mr. Silver the state of readiness of all the buildings. This is an unprecedented year. We have construction going on with the EPC, which is the energy performance contract, with the bond, with beautification in some of our buildings to an extent that, you know, we haven't seen maybe ever. So each week, and in the last 2 weeks specifically, I've made pretty much daily inspections or at least conversations with the head custodian. I have a comprehensive worksheet that we use every day to indicate our readiness and our progress specifically for the opening of the buildings. Is it a work in progress, and will we continue after the school year begins? Absolutely. We'll continue for the next several years. But as far as the typical readiness for each building to open, cleanliness, room readiness, floors, walls, carpeting, all those type of things that we generally do over the summer, painting, that stuff has been pretty uninhibited, except in a couple of the buildings where there's some really major renovation going on. But what I did to combat this, at the beginning of this year, we assigned 2 temporary employees to every elementary school, and 3 to the secondary schools, and 4 to the high school itself, increasing the staff in an elementary school by 100% on the cleaning end. We went from 2 to 4. So that helped tremendously. And what we've now done is, at Graham particularly, because there's such heavy construction going on there, for the last 3 weeks we've started working second shift, which is 5 p.m. till midnight. And this week we've implemented a cleaning company that has come in from midnight to 7 in the morning. I am happy to report that I believe that all schools are ahead of the curve, or at least at the point where they should be with regards to readiness. You'll see if you go to the schools, construction is a funny thing. You know, one day it looks like, oh my God, we can never get this building open, and then the next day you'll see how it improves in leaps and bounds. And that's where we are on some of the major constructions. But I will have a comprehensive report for Dr. Hamilton in this week's confidential. But I'm happy to report that I believe that we are on schedule. All the buildings will open. Will we continue to work once they're open on the evenings and weekends, especially in September and October, to polish some of the things that we typically would have been able to get done with less construction? Absolutely. But I want the board to feel confident that we're in a good position.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I'm going to give for right now.
Okay, let's go on to the resolution.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions, or anyone want to call any of the resolutions before we?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Trustee Saunders.
Second.
Trustee White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Before we move on, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge some of our new hires that are here this evening: Jennifer Matthews, Donathan White, and Pamela DeVlazo. If you would just please stand so we can acknowledge you. Welcome to Mount Vernon. We are so excited that you are joining our staff. There could not be a better time to be a part of a better place than right now here in Mount Vernon. Thank you so much for your dedication.
The audit meeting meets on Friday at 8:15 a.m.
teachers meeting this morning, which was excellent. It was, I'm sure if the new teachers were there, they really benefited from that. And that's about all. I welcome them.
Special education, I guess we're gonna have a list of dates on the website, listing all the reading days. So we haven't had a meeting all summer, but we will have a list of dates on the website. The wellness committee, Mr. Rose is not here, so we don't have anything to report on that. So I'll leave it to Mr. Zamora to report on the facilities committee, if he has anything. Leslie?
Well, these days, there's always something regarding facilities. Mr. Felicio just be up to date. I'm pretty confident as well as to our readiness status. There's a lot of construction going on regarding the bond, VTC, and general operating repairs. We are working very hard, very diligently at all the schools. The residents that we encounter seem to be very happy, so that they haven't seen work like this done in the schools since they've lived here in Mount Vernon. So we, run into a lot of situations, as Mr. Silver, I'm sure, always reports to you that we don't anticipate, but we had many hands on deck, many professionals looking at every situation, many emails all day, back and forth meetings to make sure that we're doing the right thing and that the outcome will be a very positive one that we all can embrace. Regarding restructuring committee, we're working, I know yesterday there was a meeting on the long-term, long-range study in terms of the status of the district, restructuring the schools, redistricting, number of students coming in, programmatic distribution throughout the schools, and I believe the superintendent will probably have some comments during our confidential on that, and Mr. Silver will as well. But all's good, all's good. I'm very excited for the district, very excited for the citizens of Mount Vernon, and I really am just, delighted to see that our students will finally have the tools that they need in an environment that is nurturing and conducive to education, a quality education. Last thing I want to note is that we've been working on a policy for the schools in terms of the way they display posters and art throughout the school property, the walls, ceilings, doors, and I've mentioned before how destructive this is in nature. I've already submitted something. I'm waiting for some feedback from the superintendent and the rest of the committee. We should have something in place by the time school starts. And at first, like usual, people don't embrace change so easily, but it is for everyone's benefit and everyone will actually be very happy with the outcome. We'll have a very clean, orderly environment by which to educate our children. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zamora. So we're moving on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Any new business?
Under new business, I'd first of all like to thank the board for being so accommodating this summer with special meetings to approve some of our HR tabs. And in that regard, I'd like to ask for your indulgence one more time. If you could make yourselves available for a special meeting on the 31st at 7:45 a.m. just to get some HR tabs approved before the opening of schools, that would be most appreciated. Can I get a sense of who would be available? 7:45 on 8/31? A.M. Yep. Wanda?
Yes.
Yes, 2's 2. That's a 3. Adrian 4. Okay. Mr. McDowell?
Leslie?
8:30?
7:30. 7:45, I'm sorry.
Sean?
Yep, all right, we have more. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that leads us to the end of our meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to adjourn?
Trustee Farrell? Trustee McDowell? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.